So we've got Robert in Chicago. How you doing today, Robert?
Hey, David. How are you? Thank you very much for taking my call.
No problem.
So I got a question. Ticker symbol GTT. What do they do?
GTT is Global Telecom and Technology. I'll read what they say they do on their profile. Nice gap out here today on the upside. Provides cloud networking services to multinational enterprises, carriers, government customers worldwide, offers private, public, and hybrid cloud network solutions, high bandwidth internal connectivity and IP transit, as well as broadband and access services, managed equipment, security, remote access service, and voice and unified communication services. So let's see what these guys had to say today out here that changed everything. See if that's listed. Okay, they got says inter-route acquisition creates facts. Okay, so they got a hold of a huge backbone inter-route technology company. I mean, you've got a breakout. You want 800,000 shares. The biggest thing is you don't have the volume so far, 550,000 shares. They bought another company.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it's a coup because it lines up and gets rid of some of their competition. So theoretically, according to what I'm reading here, they would be able to raise the rates a bit. They have a cloud service that competes with Amazon and Microsoft and Google, but it's apparently what they have is the ability for you to call up and say, hey, I need a super high speed internet connection between this city and that city. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And you want to hang on through the break? We'll look at the rest of this.
Sure. Thank you, David. I will.
We'll be back in a minute. And we're back, hopefully with Robert in Chicago. You still there?
I am.
Okay. Did a little reading on this during the break. And they bought a company out called InterRoute, which is basically the same thing they do, only in Europe. So now they hook up their systems in the United States directly to the ones in Europe and can offer basically two continents instead of one. And that's why the thing's popping today. So we're basically looking at a U.S. company that's now starting to go global. The thought is that now that they're in two sides of the pond and a bigger thorn in the paw of the giant lions, that they may get bought out.
Oh, you think it's moving on a buyout? Because even if you look on Friday, this has been acting really well, at least. So there's been no volume. Like, I know there's not enough today, but how about? Like,
it's a $2 billion company, so it's not like it's the biggest thing in the world, right?
Right.
But it's getting big enough to be at least some competition. And the thought is that now they're not just a U.S. company; they're kind of an international company that they could grow big enough that someone would just buy them out. So a lot of the bounce today, normally on a buyout, you kind of go down. But the idea is now that this thing's going to go through, that they can be a big pain to somebody else, and those people may just want to cash them out at $3 billion or $3.5 billion or $4 billion or something like that. So we're seeing the pop here on the thought that now that they're global, that it's much more likely that someone would buy them out.
Would you buy the stock, and if so, where?
I would buy it at 47 on light volume.
Wow.
Maybe 47 and a half.
Away. I mean, it was there Friday.
Yeah. It can come back. This to me, this would be a longer term play. I mean, they're just getting this deal done. And, the buyout probably a year down the line. If someone
I was actually thinking about this longer term. I wasn't sure what they do. I mean, they're not going to compete with the big shots on cloud, so they must be doing something like this thing on InterRoute or whatever that is. They must be doing
Well,
something.
basically what they have is the ability to hook up very high speed networks using their own fiber. So instead of going to somebody that may put your data on various fiber channels that may or may not cut out, they can say you need a terabit per second connection between here and there. We've got our own fiber, and we'll give it to you, and we'll guarantee you that connection.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
So that's basically what this Interroute does too over there, which is, if it doesn't matter if something's slow, but if you're talking about real-time stuff like video and or real-time stuff that has to happen, and you can't have the internet go down between you and whatever on your 20 hops between here and the West Coast or something, they can give you that one guaranteed fiber to make sure that it does get across the country or from city to city or whatever. And a lot of times this is real important if you miss the plane at night. I don't think a lot of people understand that one of the most prized business for UPS and FedEx is just taking stacks of drives on the West Coast or on the East Coast and flying them to the other coast. From Amazon to Google, moving a lot of data very fast is problematic. So if you miss one of those, these guys are the kind of guys you can just call up and say, hey, I need the services from here to there, and I need it guaranteed. They've got 70. Well, the Interroute in Europe has 70,000 kilometers. So what is that? 5 miles? No, I'm just kidding. It's like 35,000 miles or something, 37,000 miles of fiber over there too. So it's one of these stories that looks fairly good. And, the thing is it takes a while to build these fiber backbones out. The cloud services, not so much, but it looks to me like they've got a good system together from both the cloud and their own fiber to put a system together. So, when you go to Amazon, it's kind of catch as catch can on a lot of stuff. You're going to use their servers. Maybe they're fast, maybe they're slow. And it probably doesn't matter if it finishes now or within an hour from now. But if you've got to literally have a ton of data from one coast to the next, or in this case, from one continent to the other, they can give you that guaranteed connection. And it's interesting. I like the idea of it. There's been a few of these folks out there that look as for buyouts. Microsoft and Amazon went in together to drop their own fiber between the East Coast and Europe. They spent what 300 million and some odd in the last 2 years to do that. That drove a lot of those optical companies higher, like AAOI. And now, of course, all that stuff, when these big projects roll through, they continue to be, problematic because it's heaven and hell. You finish those products, you're up at 103 in the AAOI, and now you're back down here at what, $26 and something. So it is interesting. I haven't looked at it tough. I'm glad you called in. I'll spend a little bit more time on it.
Speaking of Optio, there's a company out of Germany, ADV, ticker symbol ADV. It trades on the DAX. A is in Apple, D is in David, V is in Victor.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to pick that up here, but yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Another time.
Okay. Good enough.
All right, David. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call.
Bye now.
Bye.